Imagine stepping back in time to Texarkana, 1946. This town, sitting quietly on the border between Texas and Arkansas, was a place where everyone knew their neighbors, and the streets were safe at night. But as the sun set and the moon rose, a shadow of fear began to spread. Something terrifying was lurking in the darkness, turning this peaceful place into a scene from a nightmare. This is the story of the Texarkana Moonlight Murders, a series of chilling crimes that shook the town to its core. Despite the best efforts of detectives and the passage of many years, these haunting mysteries remain unsolved. Join us as we dive deep into the events that left a mark on Texarkana. Explore the impact on those who lived through it, and try to uncover the truth that still hides in the shadows. After the end of World War II, Texarkana was like many small towns in America, full of hope and looking forward to peace. People were getting back to their everyday lives, with families reuniting and soldiers returning home. The streets of Texarkana, which sits right on the border between Texas and Arkansas, were bustling with activity. Shops were open late, and movie theaters were the go-to places on Friday nights. It was a time of optimism, where the community felt strong and united. However, not everything was as perfect as it seemed. Across the country, crime was on the rise. Many believed this was because soldiers coming back from the war found it hard to adjust to normal life. In Texarkana, like in other towns, people started to notice more thefts and fights, but nothing had prepared the town for what was about to happen. The peaceful nights were soon to be shattered by a series of crimes so frightening they would change Texarkana forever. The first attack: Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Larey. On a chilly evening in late February 1946, Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Larey sought the quiet of a secluded lover's lane, a decision that would thrust them into the heart of a nightmare. As the couple enjoyed their solitude, a man emerged from the shadows, his face obscured by a makeshift mask resembling a pillowcase with crudely cut eye holes. The assailant's sudden appearance was as shocking as his actions. He brutally attacked Hollis, striking him in the head, and then turned his violent intentions toward Larey. Despite the horror of their ordeal, both survived, though they were left with physical injuries and deep psychological scars. Their accounts to the police, while differing in details, painted a haunting picture of their attacker, setting the stage for the manhunt that would follow. The double murder: Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore. As spring began to thaw the winter chill, the discovery of Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore's bodies in Griffin's car on a quiet road sent shockwaves through Texarkana. The couple had been shot, their lifeless forms positioned in a grim tableau that suggested a sudden and violent end. The serene setting contrasted sharply with the brutality of their murders, signaling to the town that a predator walked among them. The second double murder: Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker. April's bloom brought no respite from the terror. Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker, two young lives intertwined in the bloom of youth, were found murdered, their bodies lying miles apart. The connection between their deaths and the methodical nature of the killer's violence added layers of complexity to an already baffling case. The community reeled at the news, their fear mounting with the realization that the killer had struck again. The Starks murder: Virgil and Katie Starks. In May, the tranquility of the Starks farmhouse was shattered by gunfire. Virgil Starks was killed instantly, his wife Katie grievously injured but miraculously surviving. Her desperate escape and subsequent call for help were a testament to her will to live. This attack, differing in setting but identical in its horror, underscored the unpredictable nature of the Phantom Killer. The response from law enforcement was swift and determined, with local police, Texas Rangers, and the FBI joining forces in an attempt to capture the Phantom Killer. They combed through evidence, interviewed witnesses, and followed countless leads, but the elusive nature of the killer left them grasping at shadows. Among the evidence was a palm print on a car window, a silent witness to the terror that had unfolded. Yet, despite their efforts, the true identity of the Phantom Killer remained a mystery. slipping through the cracks of the investigation like a ghost in the night. In the wake of the Texarkana Moonlight murders, the fabric of daily life in this quiet border town was irrevocably altered. The shadow of the Phantom Killer cast a long, dark veil over Texarkana, transforming it from a peaceful community into a town gripped by fear and suspicion. The immediate impact on the residents of Texarkana was palpable. Doors that once remained unlocked in a testament to the town's trust and camaraderie were now bolted tight each night. Windows were covered, and streets that were once lively with the sounds of evening activities became desolate as curfews were self-imposed by the community in a desperate bid for safety. The local hardware stores found themselves unable to keep up with the demand for locks, guns, and ammunition as families fortified their homes against a threat that seemed to lurk around every corner. Neighborhood watches were formed, and the once warm greetings shared between neighbors were now replaced with cautious glances. The fear was not only of the Phantom Killer, but of the unknown. Anyone could be hiding behind the mask of normalcy. Parents kept their children close, and the youthful independence of teenagers was curtailed, their usual haunts now deemed too dangerous. The role of the media in the aftermath of the murders cannot be overstated. Newspapers, both local and national, were ablaze with headlines about the attacks, each report more sensational than the last. The term Phantom Killer, coined by the press, added a layer of mythic terror to the already horrifying events. This moniker, while capturing the elusive nature of the assailant, also served to heighten the atmosphere of fear and intrigue surrounding the case. Radio broadcasts and the burgeoning medium of television contributed to the spread of information, and inadvertently panic, across Texarkana and beyond. The media's relentless coverage ensured that the murders were not just a local tragedy, but a national sensation. Stories of the Phantom Killer were consumed by a public both horrified and fascinated by the tale, drawing rubberneckers and amateur sleuths alike to Texarkana. The media frenzy also had the unintended consequence of complicating the investigation. Misinformation spread as quickly as the truth, and law enforcement found themselves battling not just the killer, but the chaos sown by rumors and speculation. The Phantom Killer became as much a media construct as a real threat, a boogeyman who existed in the headlines as much as in the shadowed streets of Texarkana. The Texarkana Moonlight murders left an indelible mark on the town and its people. The legacy of the Phantom Killer is a complex tapestry of grief, fear, and fascination that still captivates the public imagination. For the residents of Texarkana, the murders were a watershed moment, after which nothing could ever return to the simplicity of before. The community's response, a blend of resilience, caution, and unity, reflects the profound impact of the crimes, a testament to the town's spirit in the face of unspeakable horror. The media's role in shaping the narrative of the Texarkana Moonlight murders serves as a reminder of the power of storytelling, for better or worse. The Phantom Killer, a figure born of violence and mystery, remains a symbol of the dark potential that lies just beneath the surface of any community, waiting to emerge and change everything. In the shadowy aftermath of the Texarkana Moonlight murders, the quest for justice has been a winding path, fraught with dead ends and dotted with suspects whose shadows loom long in the annals of true crime. Among these, one name stands out: the case against Ul Swinney. A career criminal known for his run-ins with the law, emerged as a prime suspect in the wake of the murders. The evidence against Swinney was circumstantial yet compelling, painting a picture of a man capable of such heinous acts. Swinney's own wife, in a moment of fear or perhaps clarity, implicated him in the crimes, her words a chilling testament to the possibility of his guilt. However, the lack of physical evidence and the complexities of legal proceedings at the time meant that Swinney was never formally charged with the murders. Instead, he was incarcerated for other crimes, a shadow of suspicion forever hanging over his name. The investigation into Swinney and other suspects was exhaustive, with law enforcement delving into the lives of numerous individuals whose paths crossed the darkened streets of Texarkana in 1946. Yet, despite their efforts, definitive proof remained elusive, the specter of the phantom killer slipping through the fingers of justice like smoke. Alternative theories, beyond a single shadow. As years turned into decades, the mystery of the Texarkana Moonlight Murders has only deepened, giving rise to a myriad of theories that seek to explain the unexplainable. Some have speculated that the murders were not the work of a single individual, but rather multiple perpetrators, each acting under the cover of the Phantom's shadow. This theory suggests a more complex web of violence, with copycat crimes or unrelated attacks being attributed to the Phantom due to the climate of fear at the time. Others have looked beyond Texarkana, drawing parallels between the Moonlight Murders and other unsolved cases across the country. The possibility that the Phantom Killer may have continued his reign of terror elsewhere, changing his modus operandi to evade capture, is a haunting thought that has fueled extensive debate and investigation. In the realm of true crime, the line between fact and fiction often blurs, with speculation filling the gaps left by unanswered questions. The theories surrounding the Texarkana Moonlight Murders are as varied as they are intriguing, each offering a different lens through which to view the events of 1946. As the sun sets on the harrowing tale of the Texarkana Moonlight Murders, its legacy endures, woven into the fabric of American folklore and true crime history.